talk about testing and so that's Daniel. So yes, basically we have a couple of topics regarding that. I think what we should start with is about discussion about dedicated review for Tempest tests. So we had yesterday a session. There is a proposal for the TC, right? Yeah. And one aspect of that is moving the tests out to a separate breakpoint.
Yeah, I hate that idea.
That's why.
Because it makes it very hard to modify a feature in its tests at the same time.
Yeah, because you have always to have dependent changes. Dependent changes. That is correct. Yeah.
But that's what makes it hard, right? You've got to do 2 commits and you got to set up a dependency. Are there other aspects that make it hard?
Okay, so let's go through a scenario. I have a feature that's working and I have tests that are working, and now I want to change the feature to work differently, and it's going to cause the test to fail.
No,
so
because we use mkoderer, while we don't raise backward, everything is okay.
But if there's a bug, and that's why I'm changing it.
Then it is exceptional case, and we should keep some tests in this case.
Well, that's why I want to play through the scenario. So we have a feature that's working a certain way, and the test validates that it works that way, but it's not the way it's supposed to work. So we go and change the feature. Now the tests are going to fail. I won't be able to merge that patch. So you have to have a change in the tests. So I have to make a change to the test first, but I won't be able to test the new behavior because that code hasn't merged yet. So you have to make a change to the test, then a change to the code, then another change to the test.
So I can't just do it depends on and have it work.
You have to do 3 patches with 2 depends on. You guys agree with that?
Well, yes, you just need 2 patches. Like you got the patches to Manila and then all of it around.
Because you have to.
Is there components on the TC to do that for every code?
Yeah.
And back up.
Project agree, or
So basically, we found the thing is we're now focusing on the drawback, and there is a lot of positive side. So that's why.
So yeah, the main drawback is that if I want to change a feature in the test, I have to do 3 patches effectively.
Because you deactivate the test.
You have to turn off the test, then you change the feature, and then implement the new test behavior, and that has to be 3 separate patches as opposed to just 1 patch to 1 repo that fixes it.
But back up a second. One thing you didn't say that I think is correct is this proposal has been being made for Pike. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about it now, but it would happen.
Okay, so what are the benefits?
We'll be proposing this again, so this will address any concerns we have when we do propose like a new TC.
It's just to collect now the
great
team, because Manila team was the first team that adopted the plugin model to Tempest.
Okay.
And since we were the first, all the others just cloned our way, and now we are in that phase that a lot of the plugins are in the thin tree. And
but I love having all the plugins in the tree. In fact, that we have docs moving into the tree, and that's a step forward in my opinion. So having our DevStack plugin in the tree, having our Tempest plugin in the tree, having all of our docs in the tree, as far as I'm concerned, the more we can have in a single repo, the better.
So I agree to that. Okay.
Anyway,
let's go to the positive side. So one issue is Tempest itself is branchless, and within the project we have branches. So this means we have a Tempest version that has no branch, no stable branch.
That's just a bad idea. I mean, Tempest should have branches.
Yeah.
Period.
That's why we adopted this platform model. So as the API is platform compatible, Tempest supports we have these 3 different versions of OpenStack, and I see this as a feature, not a feature. So using this, so the Tempest stuff, you could just test different versions. The thing is that if you combine this branch model that other projects develop, it's just not really. It wasn't meant to be merged in that way, and that's why we propose just to put that that we go out. And it's a thing that you.
I didn't understand why Tempest being branchless is a good thing.
It's compatible with the API.
How far?
Supported. Yeah.
I had a comment.
actually playing devil's advocate because I really like the concept of branching Tempest. But we have had issues, bugs with pipe, because of the fact that we went ahead and modified tests without checking for this whole micro version of activity. Right? So you would have a test that would validate your older versions. And then you would have another test. You should be adding another test to be validating the changes that you just made. Unless it's a bug that you're trying to fix, and somehow the test was also bugged. Right? But then we've had behavior, at least in the Manila community, where we've gone ahead and modified the test every single time when we made code changes. We've let bugs slip past because of the fact that we've not we started branching Tempest and we said, wait.
I don't understand if you're arguing for or against branching Tempest.
Oh, I like the stability and all that, but the fact that our behavior changed because we assumed that we can peg against a version of Tempest and then change our tests every time we made a.
So Tempest supports 3 releases back, right? So the fact that I can't go test Icehouse today, let's say for whatever reason I'm running Icehouse, and I say I would like to be able to test a change to the Icehouse branch.
You could do that.
You say what?
You could do that using the Tempest tag. Because when we do releases, we have tags branches.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the tag that we can see during the actual release or the latest one, supporting ISS 2, you could do that.
So we would change the way we are setting up our tests in the job. We would just pull up a tag of Tempest and
that could be an option.
rather than a fixed comment that you code.
But in any case, I think that I don't want to discuss maybe obviously now because it's in for Pike, but I think it's maybe.
Well, no, I mean, if the thing that's driving the desire to split tests out of the repo is the fact that repos have branches and Tempest doesn't, then my comment back is the way to fix that is to make Tempest have branches, not to split out the tests, right? That's my opinion.
Are there other positive things?
Yeah. We'll see what happens after. The other thing is packaging is a bit hard because the thing is that the entry points are defined in set of conf are also pointing to the tests. So basically, you could ship Manila with the tests, but maybe you don't have Tempest done, or you split them, but you will also have the entry point. So basically, this is one other reason why splitting them makes it easier for packaging. I'm not a packaging expert, but I think
when you're saying packaging, you mean like the people that turn the Manila Git repo into RPM?
RPM, so
yeah. So, and also, besides packaging, there's also one thing that you should be considering without requirements. As of now, if you are a Tempest user, you're going to go and go to the Tempest repo. If you want to use Manila, you install all the Manila requirements. Because you need to install all Manila because it does install the entry point. And just browse what would happen if they were to install Manila and maybe 14 more plugins. I would have all the cloud requirements.
Right. We talked about this yesterday or 2 days ago, and wasn't the proposal we could just have another requirements file, like a test requirements file?
But you install the entry point on stuff THD from Manila, and I guess that won't be easy to decouple.
So the problem here is that we're doing a git clone followed by a Python setup?
Yeah. So when you install Manila, you the free open.
Can we just not run Python setup for those situations, or we're?
But if you open just that's CFG from Manila.
So we just have one set of CFG, and there is, let's say, both combined. It means if you're packaging, you will have dependency on both.
If we go and we put.
This sounds like a limitation of Python.
So, and that's why I have another idea, but we have to have more a look at detail. So maybe we can let the Tempest test entry, but completely create a new set of CFG within the Tempest folder, so that we have a complete separate.
Yeah, I mean, if the direction we're going is one Git repo with lots of Python packages in it, yeah, you need multiple setup CFGs in the repo, and they need to be in subdirectories.
Yeah, that would solve the issue with the packaging. You would have an entry, and the only thing that is not solving is this branch or the a branchless approach.
But that should be somehow, at least enhanced by the stable API, which leads back to our second part of our talk. So far, what the Tempest plugin should report, so Tempest.leaf, Tempest.cms.conf, and Tempest.test for the bookings. What Manila does, it has a ton of reports directly from Tempest. As Tempest changes and you're not importing all stable interfaces, and you need to be into a specific comment. And that's one thing I'd really love to get rid of. So,
yeah, the pinning is something we want to get rid of as well. And the main requirement is that there has to be enough stability in the Tempest load that
please report on the work you've already done.
Yeah.
And this really
now we're
Tempest stable load, because I don't think it's generally understood.
Yeah. Now we are switching to it, but fine. So sorry. So
that's my agenda.
Yeah. So basically, Tempest has stable interfaces, and they are stable. They will not use them. They're not failing or should not. So I will list it in the Etherpad. So everything under Tempest.lit should be stable, should be considered as stable. Everything under Tempest.config should be considered as stable, and Tempest test with discovery and the plugin concept basically is stable. So these three libraries are considered as stable. So
but what is so you can call them stable. What is the process for ensuring stability? Like presumably bugs do get found and features do get added and bugs get fixed.
Feature adding is not an issue, it's just a new function, and if you call it, that's the thing. But if
so there's a guarantee that if someone's using the old interface...
The guarantee is what the Tempest team guarantees is that within the reviews of the code, if somebody changed this kind of behavior, they put a -2. So
is there any kind of a gate that can detect when a backwards incompatible change is added?
We're within the TC discussion, we had an idea that we have one job putting all the plugins in and just having some sanity checks, like just listing all the tests, which causes a lot of setup calls and so on. So this would at least give an impression that this change will not, let's say, affect any other plugin. That's things that.
But if you make a change in, if we're calling that library, the interfaces in that library, and our tests are working, and you make a change, and our tests fail, it's a bug on you, and we can exactly bug on you. So
but I want to go a step further and see that their gate prevents that bug from merging.
Well, that would be lovely, but I just wanted to.
Well, I'm asking you
to cover first the contract.
It's tricky, but so far what we are going to propose is just an experimental gate, and that would install every plugin, so they would make sure that there is nothing wrong. Something that creates a change, and it gets skipped. And that gate would fail because it would break the plugin, it would break the importing, and then if you guess where it was bad, that will fail, and we'll bring it back.
Well, so there's two jobs you could add. One is the one that you mentioned a minute ago, where you just install all the plugins and sort of list them, right?
Yeah.
It's like a smoke test.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a voting job or an experimental job?
Well, originally it'll be an experimental job.
That'll be an experimental job.
We will start
with it also.
Okay. Yeah. Because if that job became voting, it would alleviate a lot of the problems, right?
Yeah.
It works. If this would be voting, then any change of any plugin, maybe the plugins use different things in Tempest, is not considered as stable, and then they will fail, and the Tempest team is hindered to merge stuff, right? Yeah. So I think this is a discussion that we should have. I'm a fan to have at least such a...
You're saying now, like, if the Manila team creates a bug in our own Manila plugin, now we could break your gate, and you don't want that.
Yeah. I'm not going to Tempest in a number.
Well, okay. No, it's an interesting problem.
What we have to do is, I think, we should start with such a job, and we should find out. I think on the one hand side, we have to somehow prevent that nobody is using Tempest functionality that is not considered as stable, and on the other side, the Tempest team should prove that the stable interfaces are stable.
I mean,
that's something that we have to work on.
I'm willing to believe you guys when you say that it's stable. It's just that our past experience has been that it was not stable, right?
Well, your past experience was not using the library either. It's calling directly, calling directly into Tempest.
There was
with no contract, no agreement that people would not change stuff on. So I mean, this isn't 100% safety, but we're having an interface in which the other players are making a contract with us now, whereas before there was no contract, there was just an expectation.
Ever since we switched to Tempest, we've had a good amount of gate stability.
But that's the thing is we never switched to Tempest Lib 100%. So Tempest Lib gradually evolved, and we started using the piece of it that existed, but we were also using parts of Tempest that were not in Tempest.
So the proposal was that we move 100% to Tempest Lib.
So let me ask you, Larry.
Maybe that we have the ability to pin again in an emergency, that we don't remove the ability, if something goes wrong, we can do it temporarily.
Well, hopefully it should be that way. So our proposal is to remove every import that is not into Tempest of late, and that should make things much easier.
You want to do the Manila side work to remove all the imports?
Yeah.
Okay.
We will go spend the effort and distribute.
Yeah. So my main question is, in the past we had to use stuff that was outside of Tempest Lib. So if now everything that we need is in Tempest Lib and stabilized, so we don't need anything that's outside of there.
There's
I'm more than happy
that are open or let's say problematic. So one thing is the client's registration. So basically we have the Manila client within the Manila repo, and it must be somehow registered to the Tempest. And there is a patch already open from Andrea from Tempest team. So here we just need to get this merging. So there is currently the scenario test failing, so it's a little bit fixing, and then we can merge that. So this would be next step. So we have no dependency on this client list.
Who doesn't have a dependency?
Manila don't need they
once Andrea's patch merges,
all the imports of the client side.
Will we Tempest anymore?
Are you talking about Python Manila client or our special Tempest Manila client?
Tempest.
Why can't you depend on that?
So the thing is that if you have a client in Tempest, basically Tempest has a list of clients.
Yeah.
At the moment. So and you need to register your new client to the list, right?
Okay.
And Andrea wrote a stable interface to do for plugins registration of their clients, and that's the thing that we have to just use. And Andrea proposed that. As I said, it's I would say 90% done.
Okay.
So with that, we would at least have this client issue, and then I think there's one open issue, and maybe this is one where we really have to spend more effort, is the dynamic thread thing. So we have basically we need credentials for Tempest to be created, and this is also in the Tempest tree. It's currently used by two other, so we in Manila use this dynamic thread directly, and also Murano with the plugin uses it directly. So here we need to have a solution, and I think that, but this is more a discussion that we have to have in the Tempest group.
No, I don't understand what the problem is. Is that not part of Tempest Lib?
Yeah, it's not in a Tempest Lib. Because there's a lot of, I mean, it's a huge code thing, because there's a lot of clients involved, and a lot of bundling with.
How much of that stuff do we use?
So
if we wanted to copy paste the part that we use out of Tempest into Manila, it would be huge copy paste. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, the thing is that the dynamic threads uses a lot of inputs also within Tempest, because it needs its client, it needs a lot of other things, and it needs configuration. So I think the main work that we have to do to spend is in that area for both sides. So in Tempest and Manila, we have to at least in Manila. But Manila
could fork that and remove everything we don't care about, and then have something that is stable for us, right? I'm not saying it's a recommended option, but it is an option.
It's an option to maybe do it really quickly. Yeah.
But do we need to dynamic threads? I think there is another.
Yeah, that's another thing that I would like to check how the other plugins are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it's just Manila and Murano, there are, I think, how many plugins do we have? 50. There's now 50 Tempest plugins. So I think
I can describe why. Manila.
Yeah, please do. I mean,
Other projects mostly use the dynamic threads from Tempest functionality and do not use pre-created users. But we do use pre-created users, and that is why we have for some tests like Lotus that use dynamic threads always. Exactly for this case.
We need those users because we're performing with shared server tests. So we need multiple users.
Yes. Because of resources sensitive problems.
Isn't that the com generator thing where you have a YAML file and
Yeah, you can do that.
you can just create as many accounts as you want with the configuration file?
Yeah.
It's the only problem. It is too buggy because everything is tested with dynamic threads, not created.
That's I agree. It's sure buggy. We all also tested that, and it doesn't work. But it's
But
nothing
what's
that
the recommended way? So is it dynamic threads or
the usual thing is dynamic threads, right?
I think
And
that,
the other one is for the clouds that using Tempest to just validate it. So
this is something I wanted to talk about, which is, historically Manila has used these predefined accounts because of resource constraints, and it's led to huge amounts of concurrency problems in Tempest and tests randomly failing because two different sets of tests were actually sharing a resource that they didn't realize that they were sharing. I would like to stop doing that and use dynamic creds for everything. The main thing that prevents us from doing that is the generic driver and its resource consumption.
But we already run just a bunch of tests for all third-party drivers. There is about 20 or 25 backend dependent.
Right, so if we can run those with dynamic creds instead of well-known accounts, it will consume more resources, but it will reduce.
But it would be much less than it was some time ago.
Right, okay, so you agree we can go in this direction
We can.
of using dynamic creds for everything.
But there is a use case for end users when they have exactly a specific set of users and they just cannot use.
yeah, we shouldn't forget that Tempest is really heavily also used for, let's say, to verify that the cloud works. And here,
It's not a question of the cloud working on it, it's a question of Tempest test groups assume that they can clean up the stuff that they create.
Yeah.
And that assumption is only true if it's not being shared.
Yeah.
So either you have to realize it's being shared and never clean up anything, or you have to have exclusive access to the resources you're using and then clean them up. You can't have both.
But basically, I think two tests in parallel should not share their resources. You have
Exactly, but they do today because we played these games to reduce resource consumption in our gate.
Okay.
And it's led to all kinds of test failures that are random and...
Okay, this is something that
There are race conditions with shared services.
That's another class of problem. No, I'm talking about the cleanup errors.
That is because of the cleanup errors is because someone else came in and this shared server is, and it requires this shared server, right? And you don't clean up the security port because the security group.
But if you weren't sharing them, there wouldn't have been a race condition and there wouldn't have been a problem. It's not...
Well, you could be right, but then when the shared server is deleting, there is no status that actually sets it deleting, and then there's no block.
Okay, so we may have some other bugs around share server deletion, but...
Right now, it is not deleted by Tempest. It is deleted by default by Manila with default timeout.
Yeah. So Tempest tests should be able to explicitly delete the share servers that they created when they're done with them. We don't do that because we know that they're actually being used by other threads.
So our direction, quite independently of this, is to stop sharing these resources.
Right,
so we avoid that.
It came up because
that means
of the dynamic
problem is even, we're going to need the dynamic thread.
Yeah.
So the sort of last mile problem that you have is even more important.
But I think everybody should agree that dynamic threads is a good thing, and it's needed for all the plugins, I would say. That's why.
So is it going to be, become part of Tempest Live?
We need to discuss that.
Because as long as it isn't, we're blocked and we're stuck in the status quo.
Or we duplicate the code.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. We would only do that if you guys weren't planning on fixing it. If you are planning on fixing it, we'll just wait.
We are planning to fix all of them.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Let me write partly we're trying to scope, when I pitched you guys doing this and the band, I said, look, we want to unpin, my goal is getting, very, very short-term goals, getting the penning out of there early in Ocata would be what I'd love to see.
But that won't happen until dynamic threads.
Well, that's why I'm going. Okay, so and you guys had a nice Easter pad showing what you had accomplished, and I would say, okay, I know you guys are busy now, but would you fill out the rest of it with the remaining steps to be done? And that's what you're doing right now, which is awesome. But we're hearing there's still a fairly hard problem to be solved.
So there's a critical path, I would say, is a dynamic thread. All the others are what we have also is, I just listed it here in the Etherpad, so it's a remote client, a common waitress, and a scenario manager. I think these three is going to be just duplicated code, or we check whether we can somehow easily move them into the list. So these three are not really an issue. And I think what we should and
so the dynamic threads issue, so we're only tough one.
Yeah, that's the only tough one. It could be that it's a bit easier with Andreas' question regarding this client registration, that there is some things that we can use to decouple this dynamic threads also. I have to have a deep look on this dynamic threads, what else in Tempest is used here. Maybe it's handy enough that we can just move that.
So we can get those kind of priorities for Tempest.
Yeah. And with that, we will be really, really independent. That would be a huge thing, because then we can get rid of the commit ID and the CI's jobs, and we just use the Tempest as it is.
So while we're all here, I'd like to know, does Valeri believe you? No, what I mean by that, what I mean that is he's there, over and over again, early in the morning, getting us unblocked and doing, yeoman work when we're stuck, and knows a whole lot about what we've been through. And when I've reacted negatively to something he's proposed for, he said very justifiably, look, I'm just trying to keep things stable and make them work, and keep us going. So, are you happy with this roadmap? I mean, if all this work got completed, would you be comfortable with feeling that Manila could unpin? And
it's a good direction. I like it, but I don't think it will be needed time. So
you don't think it'll happen as quickly? I'm not asking. Do you think how quickly do you think they will get the work done that they're proposing? I'm asking if they get the work done that they're proposing, do you see anything remaining that they haven't mentioned that would get us in trouble?
First of all, Manila jobs are absent in Tempest pipeline, so we should add it there. Then Tempest should test both approaches for using credentials, as well dynamic threads as well as security.
That would be a nice step.
That's valid. The first one can't be happen, because if Tempest starts to have jobs for each plugin, we'd have, and with 50 jobs added to the Tempest queue just to test all the plugins, that's something that won't work. So there will be, for sure, so we have this contract that these three imports areas are stable, and for sure it can happen that something breaks and we have to fix it.
You actually raise a good point. Fundamentally, the approach that the whole OpenStack community uses for gate tests doesn't scale.
Yeah.
And we are hitting that point now.
Yeah.
Gate tests, we can't test everything that we should be testing in the gate because there's not enough time and not enough resources. Is there a plan to find a path forward like to decide what tests to skip and what tests to run, given that we can't run all of them. Someone should be thinking about that.
Yeah. It's a good point. Everybody's nodding their head.
At least there could be a group that just tries to realize all tests from all plugins we have and not run them.
Yeah.
Because
I think
most
that's
errors we
one
catch on the import.
Yeah. But one thing, I mean, Tempest is one little thing in Manila test dependencies. We have dependency on Nova, Neutron, Cinder, and we hit breakages in Neutron, and we had the issues or in the client or whatever. So basically, yes, Tempest broke the gate sometime, but there was also issues in all the other dependencies that we had. So I think, and nobody is asking Neutron for adding gate shops in their gate for Manila. So it would, in a perfect world, Neutron would also test Manila and.
So this is in the integrated gate. Like Nova tests Neutron, Neutron tests Nova, Cinder tests Neutron and Nova. They all test each other for everything that's in the integrated gate, but that's limited to like 5 or 6 core projects. And obviously, it can never expand to everything because it would be insane. And that point was actually hit a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was hoping that your client registration is going to be used in some use case like that, like adding some integration tests.
I mean, yeah, I mean, what we, with this scenario test and all that, we at least have tests also from Neutron side, right? It has a lot of aspects. And, yeah.
What I think we have to admit is that the dream of an integrated gate is unscalable, and that things need to be testing the stable versions of other things, not the head version of everything. So like, I'm going to get to a point where when Ocata opens up, we pull the Newton version of Tempest lib, and we use that for the entire release of Ocata. And the same thing, we'll use the Ocata version of, the Newton version of Nova and Neutron. We should be testing the stable stuff. We shouldn't be testing the unstable stuff, because the only way to test with unstable stuff is if you have an integrated gate that prevents people from breaking each other all the time.
That's true for Neutron as well. That's true for Neutron as well. It usually breaks us.
Right, because we test with the latest version of it.
Yes.
I love the idea of being able to, so assuming Tempest doesn't get branches, as long as they're tags, we should just be able to take the last tag and just use it.
That's something that we also already can consider.
But also, the other is that typically for so I guess that's really easy. Faster, they stable in the sense.
So,
why aren't you happy that you got the breakage order?
Yeah.
You just have the stable release, when there's the next step,
no, I'm saying
and you realize that
the gate should test against the stable versions of everything. There needs to be another job that actually does test head of everything together, but that can't be a gate test because it's inherently unstable.
If it's not a gate test, who's going to fix it?
Yeah, it's going to be ignored.
You make it a periodic job, and you make it someone's job to go investigate failures.
Then make it broken.
You should have poke in your eyes.
Anyway, I think we should have the master not the stable, so we can get notified as soon as possible when something breaks.
Yeah, but you understand that doesn't scale, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless we're testing, unless we have a gate that prevents us from breaking them, and they have a gate that prevents them from breaking us, then there's no way to do that without somebody breaking someone at some point. And there's not enough resources in the world for everyone to test everything before they change. So at some point, you have to either accept that you're not testing the latest, or the people have the potential to break you. I mean, they can say until they're blue in the face, it's stable. But we all know that things slip by that break people, and then they're like, oops.
Or we test the latest, but at each milestone, as other stuff breaks us, Larry pins it and fixes it and says, this one's going to fix our gate, and so we can get our stuff done.
Yeah.
And then after the milestone, as things get fixed, we go back to the latest.
The only guarantee that their stuff is actually stable is if they have a gate that tests our plugin completely. That's the only guarantee, and they just said we're never going to get there.
Because they're saying the same thing would happen to them, and is other people prevent them from doing their work instead of them preventing us from doing ours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with this new feature, we will get a bit better, but for sure we can't prevent breakage of the gate. Something that's
So what are the action items? And we got 3 minutes left. Well, what concrete steps forward can we make?
So, basically, we have in Etherpad listed all the ports that need to get tackled. I think the most critical one, as said, is dynamic threats. I think I will work together with Daniel that we find out, let's say, have a concrete plan, what to do, whether we duplicate, whether we, whatever, move something to the list. That's I think, the first step that we need to cover, and then...
Well, what about the packaging problem? Seemed like an easy one to solve. You create another setup.cfg in a subdirectory, right?
That's something that I would like to test.
Would you guys like to own that, or?
Yeah, I think we both own the whole effort, and
there's maybe another solution when maybe it's possible to fix it in Tempest itself when loading.
Okay, we are discuss that.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we both will lead that, and we'll distribute. I think.
Distribute information so that other people can.
Yes, I think
can
there is
understand
people in Red Hat that want to
we
support, and that's why we will work in a group.
Also, actually, I'm trying to also get rid of it.
Okay. And please provide the feedback back to whoever's driving the TC initiative to break Tempest plugins out that we don't like it.
Well, you should be on that review, and I believe you are making remarks.
So this addressing comments there, we proposed for 5. So this addressing comments.
So that's already in Garrett. I can -1.
Yes.
There's a
Oh, that's
away.
okay. That's great. Never mind.
There's an active discussion about that. That was more FYI.
The argument for this, now we need to sit down, some actions, and afterwards we can just get some more people to organize the task.
So Prem just asked about, in the Etherpad, it said we need a deprecation plan for a third CI, presumably third-party CI. Who put that in the Etherpad?
Yes, is known as deprecation. Okay.
Who put it there?
I didn't.
Okay.
I just copy and paste it. Maybe.
I don't know.
It's my color, but I just copied it.
Okay, so it's not relevant for us.
I can't remember. Now it's gone.
Question answered. All right. Time for lunch.
Yeah. Let's go, thanks.
Thank you. So, Rodrigo was hoping that, we could have lunch together as a mill team. For those who want to, let's try to grab a table upstairs.
I think that would be great.